Good evening, everybody, and thank you once again for joining me on another episode of Inside the Playbook with tonight's guest, my special guest tonight, all the way from Louisiana, Slidell, I believe, Coach Mandy Fain. She's a sports performance coach. She's going to tell us all about her journey and what she does as a coach, a sports performance coach out there, and working with individuals and teams and such. So if you haven't already, please do me that huge favor. Go ahead and like, subscribe, share, and hit that little bell to get alerts on the YouTube channel. And without further ado, just help me welcome my next guest, Coach Mandy Fain. Coach, how are you? Good evening.
Hey, how are you?
I'm
Thanks for
good.
having me.
Oh, thank you for joining us tonight. And how is it out there in Louisiana?
We're finally getting some cold weather. We've had like 8 hurricanes in a row, dodging them bullets left and right.
Right. Yeah, I just had Coach Hernandez. He's from out there, and he was telling me about the different storms that are coming in. But I'm glad you guys are dry and and staving off all the winds and all the wet weather out there. But thank you again for joining me tonight. And again, tonight on Inside the Playbook we just want to know a little bit about your story, your journey, how you became a sports performance coach. Talk a little bit about your experiences and what you're doing today. But as I always ask all my guests, if you can please just give us that 30-second elevator speech of who Coach Mandy Fain is and what do you do.
So, Coach Mandy Fain, I have 3 daughters. My oldest is 12, I have a 10, and I have a 5-year-old. I am a military wife. My husband is in the special forces, so he travels a lot. My middle child, she's a type 1 diabetic, so we deal with that too. And then I'm a sports performance coach here. I specialize in football athletes. I know, female, training all these 250-pound men, but that's my passion. That's what I love. I come here every day because these boys, God never gave me a boy, but He put me in a position to train so many boys. And like I said, I love it. And one of my boys is going to make it. And, that's that's why I do what I do, and I love what I do, and my girls see that, I'm making a difference in these boys, I'm making a difference in these girls, and they kind of reap the benefits too, because everywhere we go, they're like, "Hey, coach." And
Right.
yeah, that's my mom.
So tell me, Coach, um, did you play a lot of sports when you were a kid, or did you compete at the high school level or even in the college level when you were younger?
So I was always a kid that loved sports. I always scored presidential in like that fitness test that they
Yeah.
did back in the day. I always was the first girl to run the mile. Remember that one that we
Hmm.
used to do back in school? But I did not play sports in high school. My mom was very traditional. Girls did not play sports. That was a boy thing. I went to tryouts, and I loved trying out and I loved trying to, but
Yeah.
it wasn't, my mom believed like I should be a model and I should, be in dance and,
Mm.
go that route. So I did. And then I got this job, and there was one coach in particular that saw something in me that I
Yeah.
didn't know that was in me. And I would watch him teach all the football boys. His name was Kerry Joseph, and he now plays for the Seattle Seahawks.
Hmm.
And he actually played for the Washington Redskins, played in the CFL in the Canadian Football League as a quarterback, and now he's a coach on the O-line for the Seattle Seahawks.
Nice.
But back in the day when he
Yeah.
was off season, he was here and I was the front desk girl. I didn't know, like, I
Mm.
was just a little baby. And I would just sit there and watch, and he'd just like pour his heart into these boys,
Yeah.
just like, this is what you do, don't drop the money. He always called the ball the money. And I was like, yeah, don't drop that money. So even today, I'm like, don't drop that money, boys. That's that money right there. You want a
Right.
scholarship, you cannot drop that ball. You want like, oh, so he's the one really that sparked this passion. He would sit in the back after hours and just like, all right, fast twitch muscles, slow twitch muscles. Whenever your acceleration is your, knee drive slow or fast, like just sit there and quiz me. And like, I was like, okay, this is happening, like super intimidating.
Okay. Okay.
But
Well, I mean, you threw out some some specific terminology there, right? So fast and slow twitch muscle. So can you do me a favor? Can you break just in layman terms, just like break it down for us that don't really know about the fast and twitch and what do you need to do with that? How does it work and why are those important to develop?
so like an athlete who deadlifts 500 pounds or like back squats 500 pounds, he's going slow, driving up slow, and he could do that for a long range of time versus your fast twitch muscles are responsible for like, being explosive and like those, like that footwork and just being able to explode out of like, the boys jumping and making shots on off the ground. You got to explode really, really fast, but it's a short period of time. So those muscles have to produce force super fast. And then like, it's like a cheetah when a cheetah sprints, like they can't outrun, a truck that can go forever, but they're super fast for a short period of time. And same with these fast twitch muscles, that's what helps these athletes get explosive, but you can't do it overnight. You have to recruit those muscles and build those fast twitch muscles and recruit a little bit more in time. It's kind of like a scar. Whenever you break the skin, you kind of have to recruit extra skin to build over. And that's how you get that like really, really thick skin. Same thing with muscles. You're tearing, you're recruiting, you're building, tearing, recruiting, building. And that's why a warm-up is so important as well. You warm up to fire up that central nervous system and tell your body, hey, I'm going to work out, I need my ankles to be nice and strong. So I'm going to, fire up that central nervous system to recruit those fibers to the ankles. And then that's how you get that, like, how the pros, they look so effortless. They just like kind of glide and like fly, it's because their tendons, they're those fibers that they've recruited, those tendons fire before their muscles even have to. And that's why, like I said, it looks effortlessly. And so I always try to do a lot of tendon training, resistance training, just like, yeah, cool. This dude can back squat 500 pounds, but when is that going to translate to the field? I need you to do a lot with that load. Can you jump off the ground with that load? No? Okay. Well, what can you get off the ground with? And we do a lot of, it's high impact, but I also teach them how to absorb power, absorb force, and redirect it. If I land, gravity is going to pull me to the ground and squash me like a pancake.
Yeah.
But I can take that energy, absorb it, and then push it in that direction or whatever direction I want to, but I'm in control. And that's why I tell these athletes, like, there's going to be a lot of things that you can't control on the field or on the court. But if you teach your body how to absorb that energy and not let it go and use it to your advantage, then money right there.
I love it. Money right there. So tell me, coach, like, again, a lot of us, I mean, I can speak for myself. I'm not, okay, let me just not say a lot of us, but there are people out there who think just going to the gym, right? I'm going to go hit these weights. I'm going to go ahead and jog here and do that. And that is a workout, right? But for the stuff that you guys do, let's just say, just for an example, either a group of football players or basketball players come in. Like, how do you curtail and set up that schedule, for them to go through their workout regimens? How do you decide? How do you know where to build? So it's kind of like building blocks, right? So you're building up your players, you're building up, their conditioning, their strength, the fitness, all that good stuff, right? So they come in maybe twice a week. I don't know what you guys' schedule is, but how do you determine, like, okay, this is what they need, this is what they're going to get? Because you're talking about, like, you're doing high impact stuff, but how do you determine what each team or member or even individual actually needs?
Well, okay, so you got football, you got volleyball, you got basketball, all of it's lower body dominant sports. And like I tell everybody, sports performance is just science and math applied to your own body. Force production. If I drive my knee, so I'm a visual.
Yeah.
So if I drive my knee down, which way am I going to go? Up. Newton's law of gravity. Every action has an equal or opposite reaction. So if I drive my knee down, well, I'm going to go up. So if I drive my knee back, which way am I going to go? Forward. Okay. So I need to drive my knee back, down and back really, really fast to go forward really, really fast. So it's all about, in every sport, you're going to go forward. You're going to go backwards. You're going to go up. Okay. How do I maximize force production to get you from point A to point B in the fastest time possible? And every athlete needs that. So I don't really look at it as force specific. I look at it as building the athlete, because I deal with a lot of like junior high, high school kids, some college kids. But at the end of the day, what if they don't want to play this sport? What if they want to go play another sport? What if their coach says, yeah, you're a defensive lineman, but I think you might be better on O-line. Like, I need to make them the athlete so they can dominate in any sport or position that they play. So at the end of the day, it's about force production into the ground. It's about learning how to absorb energy. It's about learning how to reapply energy in any direction. Any time that you're spending not moving, like when you plant on one direction and push off to the next direction, anytime you're stuck here, that's wasted energy, that's wasted time, and we ain't got time for that. But
No
everything,
time.
I do a lot of single leg stuff because most sports is played on one leg. When you're sprinting, you're not pushing off of two legs, you're pushing on one single leg. Well, if you're 250 pounds, you need to be able to push off the ground on one single leg, push 250 pounds quick though.
Right.
So we do a lot of Bulgarian split squats. We do a lot of isometric holds in a single leg. We do a lot of knee drive on a single leg box jumps, because you might push off of 2 feet on a basketball court, but a lot of times you are pushing off of one, but you're also landing 1-2. You're not landing 2 feet. So it's teaching these athletes, one, how to be explosive off of one single leg, two, how to be safe, because they're always going to land on one single leg, or, and just produce as much force with the one single leg, and you got it.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you again. You guys are watching HBTV. The show is called Inside the Playbook with, and my special guest tonight, all the way from Louisiana, Slidell, we have Coach Mandy Fain. So, Coach, you're telling us about when you first started, like being at that job in that facility, you're working at the front desk, right? So, were you like, man, I want to be there. I need to do this. Like, what was it up before that coach even saw you at the front desk? Like, did you come up to him and say, Coach, let me on. I can do the warm-ups today. I've been watching you guys every day. Like, how did that actually, really evolve from you going from the front desk to being one of the trainers here?
So I actually had just moved here from Orlando, Florida. I was a sommelier over there, and my bachelor's is in communications. So I wanted to be actually on TV as a news reporter. And then I had kids and decided, well, 5 a.m. shifts are not going to work for me. I'm going to have to be more flexible. I worked at one of the oldest hotels in New Orleans at that time, or when I got that job. And then I just wanted a second job and loved the gym. So I decided to get a second job here. And like I said, I'd just sit there late at night, watch it just fascinated me as far as like just seeing these monsters. Because I like the football players. There's something about these high school football players. Their mentality is just so much different than just a regular high school kid. And I think that's what really made me fall in love with this, because it takes a certain type of mindset to be an athlete. You know, you come in here, you're ready to work. Anything that coach said, they did. And then, you know, I, not that I'm like a dictator or whatever, but it's just amazing how like you study all this information and then you try to apply it to these athletes. They're like little sponges. They just soak all that information up. I mean, at least mine do. Some of the other coaches was like, how do you always get the good athletes? Like the ones that don't talk and like they don't play around. I'm like, no, it's just a respect thing. You know, I have what they need. I have the knowledge that they need because I make them see the bigger picture. Like there's so many scholarships out there for athletes. It's insane. And then if you're, you know, a Black athlete, Hispanic athlete, a Filipino athlete, there's other scholarships out there for, you know, that there's just so much money out there is what I'm trying to say. And I always tell my athletes, school before sports, sports before my boy athletes, sports before girls.
Yeah.
As like, they're always like, coach, I need this girl out on the sideline like, wearing my number. I'm like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
School before sports, sports before girls. Because at the end of the day, once sports is no longer, who are you going to be? You still have to figure that out, right? So as long as your grades, you know, obviously, if you want to get into a D1 school, you have to keep your grades up. School is so important. And then once you get into that D1 school, you have to keep your grades up to play ball. Otherwise, you're going to end up like Jameis Winston or, you know, next, what's that? Last Chance U.
Yeah.
You ever, I saw this video where it was like them then on Last Chance U and them now. A lot of them were in jail. You know, not many could say that they went on to achieve their bachelor's degree or their master's degree and created something out of ball, because at the end of the day, it doesn't, especially like, okay, say if you do go pro, you turn 40, guess what? Peace out. What you gonna do? Yeah, you might have money, but still, who are you gonna be for your children? You know, you still be something, you know? You have the mentality, you have the focus to wake up every day, tell me, coach, I just ran 3 miles, and then go to school, then go to practice, and then come to me. Like you have that drive, and not many people have that. So don't throw it away on parties, on drinking, on girls, because a girl will trap you so quick. And look, it's funny because I don't have boys, but I put my heart and soul into these boys in here, and they're like, they're gonna make it, and they get it. And then like to the point where they had girls who didn't even know me saying, they'd be like, Coach Mandy says, I got to leave them girls alone. So I'm sorry, I can't hug you because Coach Mandy said, got to leave them girls alone. Then all these other boys saying, hey, Coach Mandy said, got to leave them girls alone. They're like, who the heck is Coach Mandy?
Yeah.
But it's just like turned into, like, I'm just this mom that we have conversations in here about life, about the future, about, you know, things going on in their family that they can't tell their parents. And they'll come here, they'll take a nap in the back closet after practice, they'll do their homework, and then they come train with me. Like, I gotta say, in a world that's so messed up, that I can provide that to so many athletes, like that's why I don't go anywhere. That's why I come in here every day. I come in early. Like that is why I do what I do. My girls too. I tell them the same thing. School before sports, sports before boys. Because we don't got time for boys. Find yourself a man once you get that scholarship to go to that D1, D2 school, and then you'll find, like, you know, an engineering student or something. Like, don't fall for these small town boys. You guys are athletes. Your mindset is different than that of a, you know, one that, and don't get me wrong, I always say the world takes all different types of people. Don't send me a kid who enjoys science and will tell me about, you know, rockets, and that kid doesn't need to be with me. I mean, I'll love him, I'll train him, but that kid needs to be in a science program or a STEM program. Not everybody is an athlete. I mean, we need garbage men, because without garbage men, we'd be full of shit.
True.
There's garbage everywhere. The world takes all different types of people. So I'm not going to be that coach that drills these kids into the ground and like curses at them and just belittles them, because that's not what they need. They chose to come into the door, and I always give them an out. Like, all right, this is what we do. This is how we do it. If this is not for you and I'm not the coach for you, then it's okay. But be man enough to, take the door. And I'll rip into them. Like, I still have their respect, but they know it's because I care about them. But I'm not that football coach that says, all those bad things. I took my daughter to one of the high school football games to watch one of our boys, and she's like, Mama, that coach said all those bad words to those boys. Oh my gosh. And I'm like, see? Yeah, that's why I'm a different coach. I'm their mom.
Right. So a couple things here. We got some people in the chat. We got my wife saying welcome, coach, and we have I'm gonna say Toby Dunnigan. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that word, that last name, but Toby. He says, I know a thing or two about Twitch muscles, or Twitch. That's what he said. So, so really quick, coach. I want to talk about motivation. All right. So you get this kid who walks in, and you see everybody who walks in the door. You can see, you know your kids so like in and out. How do you keep these kids motivated? How do you keep them pushing every day? Because there's some days where just like, man, you may not have it. He or she may not have it. And so how do you read that, and like what strategies do you use to keep some of these kids motivated as they walk into that door? Because it's one thing to show up, that's cool, you can show up, but if you ain't 100%, and if you ain't trying to get better every day, trying to be in that gym, trying to be in your facility, not just to be there, not just to fill a space, if you're not there 100, 110, then it's kind of like you're taking a step back. So how do you keep them motivated and once they join you that day?
Well, first I always ask, did they eat? Because a lot of these boys, they'll come here without any food, or they'll like straight from practice. So that's why I always keep a bunch of food, amino acids, all the things for recovery in the back office, just in case. Because your diet and what you fuel your body, like that has a lot to do with it too. And a lot of these kids think they can eat a Pop-Tart and just roll and then come straight to me, and like, that doesn't work. You can't run a car off of a Pop-Tart. You got to fuel that bad boy so it runs like a Ferrari. That's what I tell them. I was like, do you guys want to run like a Ferrari, or do you want to be like the punch buggy rolling down the street? But and then the next question is like, what'd you do today? What'd you lift? Did you work out today? What's going on? What hurts? And especially when they're on season, I kind of have to play physical therapist. I have like a therapy gun. I have stim. I have the scraping tools. So it's a matter of like deciphering how beat down they are. And if they do need a recovery day, if they need a stretching routine instead of a workout, and that's fine too. I'll put on the iPad a 20-minute stretching session based on like, is it their hips? Is it, because recovery is so important. And I know these boys are like, but Cam says I got to work out 4 hours a day, or I want to be like DK. So he works out, da 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 da. I'm like, okay, but you guys are still in high school, junior high. You guys still have to get to that point. And if you don't feel your body's right or listen to your body, then how am I going to get you to that point? Y'all are kind of taking a step back. So it's a lot of deciphering that. And once we figure out the problem, or like these kids nowadays, they get depressed. I don't remember as a kid being depressed. I remember being mad at my mom, or mad at the world, or like, being a normal kid. But that you kind of sometimes like have to take a step back and like get everything off your chest. What's going on? Okay. So give a piece of advice, like, or, now that you got it off your chest, you ready to work? Like it is. It's like, good thing I'm a communications major because you have to read the signs. And a lot of kids, sometimes they do just need to vent and they don't have anybody to vent to. Man, I have so many different situations, and it's like, all right, which one? All of them need me in some certain way, but I love it. Like,
Yeah.
love it. And I went through a bunch of child development courses,
Mm-hmm.
just, trying to be a better mom. And I know, like, my oldest, when she gets mean, I know I have to sit down and talk to her and let her, lead the conversation, and just, we call it tea time. We put like
Mm-hmm.
hot chocolate and tea, and we'll sit there and talk. All right, 5 minutes on the clock. Tell me everything you need to tell me. Get it off your chest. And then she goes back to being this happy, bubbly dancer, awesome kid. Melina, my middle kid, when she gets like sad about things and just like things make her cry really quick. Oh, tea time. Everybody to the table. Let's talk it out. 5 minutes where she leads the conversation and I'm on the back burner. And sometimes kids just need that
Mm-hmm.
because they get told by the teachers that their grades aren't good enough, or then their coach is like, you guys screwed up. And then, it's just like their parents. Some of these parents, they see the worst of their kid, whereas I see the best of their kid.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's and I'm a parent too.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to talk to their coach and be like, hey, can you talk to my kid because this is what's going on? And I get it. And I hope all the other parents that are watching don't take offense. I get to see the best part of your children. And I know, like, I used to have some parents call me, Coach Mandy, ooh, my kid, he got a bad grade. I need you to tell him if he doesn't pick up his grades, then he can't come to practice. And that's like back in the day with like Pee Wee soccer,
Yeah.
it, like I said, I get to see the best of them.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of get to see the worst in them, and they have this image. Sometimes you do get this image of maybe your high school kid that isn't the greatest. And it really is up to me to kind of like, all right, you did this, this, and this. Maybe you need to go to your parents and say, Ma, how can I help you do this, this, and this?
Right.
Because if you keep your parents happy, then you get to come train with me. If you make your parents mad or your grades are bad, you can't come train with me. So what's the end goal here? What do you want to? Do you want that future? And I'll be on TikTok, and I like my high school football players that want to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they have this dream, like, I want to play D1, D2, whatever. So I'll send them videos of like the locker room talk, or the travel days, just so they can envision it in their head. And when you see the whole process and you envision the whole process, I just feel like they get so excited, and they'll like text me throughout the day, Coach, I want this so bad. All right, what you gonna do to want this so bad?
Right.
Like, it gets me so excited whenever like they can see what I see in them.
Yeah.
Because I can tell them all day long, and other people can tell them all day long. But then when it clicks for them, it's the best feeling ever. It's like, oh my God.
And that's the thing, right? Like when you coach, especially when you build those relationships, and like you're saying, you're kind of putting on different hats, and that's great that you took some of those psychology, those child development classes, because you're dealing with these young adults, dealing with these adolescent kids, and it's great that you're able to communicate, like you said, relate to them, and push them in that positive light, and just work things out. Life is hard at that age, right? So everybody is just trying to navigate. Everybody's trying to fit in, as they would say. But that's great. I love everything that you said. My wife even said, in the chat, it says your empathy for the kids shines through. your athletes are very lucky to have you training and supporting them. So that's good stuff. So everybody, you guys are watching HBTV Inside the Playbook with my very special guest tonight, Coach Mandy Fain, all the way in Louisiana. So you did talk about a little bit about diet. You know, that's one of the first things you ask to assess and try to motivate and just try to see what your athlete's going through that day. You know, you talked about fueling your body, and again, it is a science, something that I'm not very familiar with myself, right? I mean, I don't, you know, in my older age, I'm not eating that Big Mac as much, you know what I mean, or eating all that other chili cheese fries. However, you know, even when I was in high school and playing, you know, playing sports and things like that, I was still eating that large pizza. So, can you tell just a little bit and kind of like educate us a little bit on, you know, what are some good foods to fuel, especially if you are working out? Like, what should you really try to intake? And, you know, if you want to go through numbers and calories and stuff like that, go ahead. That's going to be over my head. But like, what should you intake? And basically, what should you really keep away from?
So basically, you want to look at your body like a machine. Okay. So, like I've touched on, you're not going to fuel your machine on, you're not going to fuel your car on water. You're not, you know, you need good fossil fuel for that car. So, same thing, we need protein. So, I always say like cleaner proteins, like chicken, white meat chicken, fish, and people are on the fence about beef. As an athlete, like your heart's healthy, you're constantly, you know, putting out. So I tell my athletes, if you want to eat a steak, you eat a steak. Like as long as you're eating, I like 4 to 7 ounces of meat, maybe every like 4 or 5 hours. I did a competition, so we had to do it more like every 3 hours. Um, Rice is really good. My kids love, you know, I'll make a pot of jasmine rice, put some coconut oil so they're getting their healthy fats to fuel your brain, because your brain is all fat. So if you stay away from fat, like you're essentially starving your brain. That's where you get your brain fog. So it's really important to get that avocado in, or that like healthy, like we love coconut oil. So it's really important to get that healthy fat in. Not going crazy now.
Yeah.
And like athletes need the calories. So I always tell them like go to Sam's Club, get that big gallon of cashews or almonds or some type of peanuts, keep it in your car. Anytime you get hungry, grab a handful of cashews, because they're burning like 6,000 calories a day. And if they want to maintain, they have to get those calories in. And you know, if you're high school, you're not actually able to eat multiple times a day like they would need to, which would be 3 to 4 times well, every 3 to 4 hours. So like my meal is eggs, oatmeal, avocado in the morning, and then chicken, broccoli, rice, or chicken, broccoli, green beans, fish, rice, broccoli. Like it's super simple. But again, you're not looking at food as like how New Orleans looks at it, right? As comfort and whatnot. As an athlete, you have to look at food as fuel. And it's just easier to get that fuel in if it's simple. So, like, if my athletes need to cut to be in a certain position, then it's going to be chicken, broccoli, and rice. Super, super simple. If you want something other than rice, then it's oatmeal. I have one athlete that instead of the oatmeal in the eggs, he did rice in the eggs. I'm like, hey, that's freaking cool too, because you're getting those calories in. People say stay away from salt. No, your muscles need salt. So sprinkle that salt. Get that Himalayan salt. Get that sea salt. Sprinkle some salt. Enjoy that salt.
Yeah.
You know, we're not training. We're not getting on stage. So drink that or eat that salt. Drink that water. And usually all my athletes, they have no problem with drinking their water. But you know, a gallon or more, preferably more a day, they're going to need it because they're constantly sweating and losing. So, I mean, I like to just keep it simple. It's just easier that way. And, you know, you can make a big giant thing of rice, 4 cups of rice, 5 cups of water, 20 minutes, Boom. Because that's another thing is some of my athletes will say, well, like, my mom won't cook me that. Okay. You're a grown, my kids
Yeah.
aren't even in high school yet and they know how to cook rice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on, rice, go get a rotisserie chicken, throw that chicken in the rice, mix it up, chow it down, put whatever flavor you want on it. It don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And then roll. But rice is really the biggest key to these kids because they don't get enough fuel, and carbs is fuel, you know? But yeah, keep it simple. And then that peanut butter at night, peanut butter and protein shake. Boom. It'll set your metabolism, keep it running, and then fuel your muscles at the end. I like to throw Filipinos.
I'm sorry. Are you big on like the protein shakes and things like that for these kids, or do you limit that? Because I've heard different things. Like some coaches say, nah, don't really use that, and some coaches like, yeah, go ahead and get that whey protein. So just wanted to pick your brain about that.
Yeah, I tell them drink a shake, especially at night. Put some glutamine in that for recovery, because if you got this, say like a block of cheese, and you got holes in that cheese, well, it's gonna break real quick. So your muscles, same thing, is you're tearing it, and if you don't bondo that muscle, well, guess what? Its day is coming. So I have my whole office. We had a bunch of donations from a lot of local people, because I was thinking, I'm like, some of my older clients, because I train adults as well.
Okay.
They are like, I don't like this amino acid. I'm going to throw it away. I'm like, what? Don't throw it away. Give it to, I have so many athletes that would love to, need amino acids and recovery stuff and collagen or whatever. So I put out a Facebook post and I was like, hey guys, before you throw away that protein bar that tastes like cement or those aminos that kind of don't taste that good, I have a bunch of athletes that would love to have this donation, and people came out the woodworks, from Mississippi, all over the place, and donated protein bars. And now my office is stocked full of protein bars, protein shakes, amino acids, just everything for recovery, glutamine. And at night, at the end of our session, I'm like, all right, boys, who needs whatever? And they'll, they always know that I got them covered, whether it be a protein shake, a protein bar. I'll put those Uncrustables in the back. I put Yoo-hoo chocolate milk in my little refrigerator.
Yeah.
Because they do, like, their performance is a direct reflection of me. Sure. So I feel like I got to take care of them, mind, body, all of it,
Sure.
That way they can go on that field and shine.
You talked about a little bit about you competing, which is kind of cool. So tell me about that. How was that experience? And as far as you were talking a little bit about diet for that, what was going on? What was the grind for that, for you to compete?
So I, had to eat every 3 hours. Diet is extremely, like, there's no cheating, workouts are extenuous. You got 2 cardios a day. It is a lot of commitment. But once I set my mind, once I announced that I was competing, a lot of people were super excited and supported me. And I was like, oh crap, I can't back out of this now. So then everybody's like super excited. They decided like a lot of my friends or people around the club were just like, oh my God, we can't wait to see the end result. We're going to get a party bus and we're going to come to your show and we're going to watch. And I was like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? But I'm just that type of person. I get antsy and bored and I want to know more and I want to learn more. So I figured this would be a great opportunity for me to see like what life is like in the daily life of a competitor, of a figure competitor. So I did it, and it kind of like showed my athletes too, like once you commit to something, like that's it. You're, don't try to commit to something and then say, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm back out. Because I definitely, could have been leaner by the time I got on stage, but I busted my butt and I won first place in my category.
Wow,
like,
congrats, coach. Good stuff.
And like a lot of the competitors backstage are like, holy crap, your back is like perfect and built. But to be honest, I did it the right way. I built my body first and then I chiseled down. And I owe my physique really to the training here, because I put my body through all of this and before I put my athletes through it, because I can't make my athletes do something and then like I can't do it myself. I always tell them, if your coach tells you to do that, he better know how to do it properly and teach you, because I can't stand a coach that pulls up an Instagram little post and says, all right, guys, we're going to do this today.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, how do you do it? Teach me what that Instagram model's doing, because to me, it just looks like she's dropping it like it's hot and like, so it just drives me insane. But yeah, so I ate what I needed to eat. Whenever that cheat meal came, I was like, oh. And when it came time for me to get on stage, I was nervous as heck. They announced me. So my last name is Fein. And the announcer was trying to ask me, like, how do you say your last name? I was like, oh, it rhymes with pain. And so whenever they actually announced me to come on stage in front of everybody, they're like, and here comes Mandy Fain. He's like, oh no, that's pain. She just said it rhymes with pain. So then I had to walk out dying laughing. And it was so funny though. I had the time of my life. I just I just winged it and had fun. And my husband came home from deployment the day before the show.
Nice.
So that was really cool too, because he got to come home to this like completely chiseled, transformed wife.
Yeah.
That was like half the size. No, I lost 30 pounds in 12 weeks. It was insane.
Wow. That's
crazy. I didn't even look like I had 30 pounds to lose, but it's just like you dehydrate yourself. And the night before the show, like, you're not allowed to drink any water.
What?
And then the whole day of the show, no water. You go from drinking 2 gallons a day. Like, I drink my gallon before 1 p.m. every single day.
Yeah.
That was like the most panicking feeling I've ever felt in my life. Like, not being able, like, I picked up my cup and I was like, oh crap, I can't drink that 10 times that day. And it just like my lips, just everything. I wanted water so bad. So by the time I got off that stage, the one thing I wanted was water. It was crazy. I'll never neglect water ever again.
Wow. Well, you guys are watching HBTV, and the biggest message is there: do not neglect your water, especially if you guys are competing. We're here tonight inside the Playbook with Coach Mandy Fain. Thank you, Coach, for that. So just really quick, I see the background. You're at your facility. Can you tell us a little bit what you guys do in that facility, like some of the exercises and things you guys do there and some of the apparatus there?
Yeah, so essentially we are a speed school. Parisi Speed School is globally. They just opened one in China, so that was really cool. And so what we ultimately teach is the art of acceleration. So going from 0 to 100 as quick as possible in the shortest. I always say the first 15 steps. Like, the first 15 steps is acceleration. You're driving, your force production is high, but your strides you might get to the 15 yards in like 6 steps. Whereas after your first 15 yards, you transition to top speed, and then it's that, road runner leg where you're just chin to pocket, just pumping. Your force production isn't as high, but you're maintaining your speed that you've just generated in that first 15 yards. Like, when people always talk about the 40-yard dash, that, NFL 40-yard dash. So in the collegiate level, they actually look at your steps. Like, can you complete 40 yards in 18 steps? I actually had an athlete get passed up because he completed it in 19 steps, and the guy in front of him completed it in 18 steps. So, like, it's crazy, but it does boil down to, like, steps. Same with 5-10-5 that everybody sees in the NFL. Like, that is broken down to steps. And then if you're above 6 foot, then you have a different step pattern that's going to get you that 4.2 that everybody looks for. So it's, and I actually help Adidas with the Rivals Combine, and it's one of the most amazing things. I love it every year. It's 2,500 athletes, 2,500 high school athletes, football players, and they're testing the 10 yards, the 40-yard dash, the vertical jump, the broad jump, the 5-10-5, and your L drill. And so before Adidas comes into town with that combine, I'll teach every single one of my athletes like these are the tricks of the trade, because essentially it's a test, and there's always ways to do better on a test than the average person that just walks up on doesn't study. This is a test, we study for it, and it's acceleration, it's top speed, it's being able to change your direction, so accelerate, stop, and reaccelerate quick as possible. And so I get out there, 2,500 kids, and then my athletes show up, and you can pick them out the water, like perfect form, perfect sprint form. Their vertical jump, like 30s, 36s. It's just it just makes me so. It's like reiterates what I do here. Like, I do it all day, and sometimes I just like don't realize what exactly I'm doing. Like, and a lot of the things we do repetitively because there's only so many ways to reinvent the wheel.
Sure.
It's all forced production. It might be in a fancy way, or a different way than we did like 2 days ago, but it's still the same movement. It's a hinge, it's a push, it's a pull, it's a squat pattern or whatever, single leg work. But it's just, I don't know, it's just like awesome to see like one of my athletes, he's on the offensive line, and he showed up after a 7-on-7 game, showed up to the combine and just blew it out the water at 15 years old, 36, or I think he scored a 34-inch vertical at 15 years old.
Wow.
Like NFL players are jumping 32. And
this kid, wow, he just got bounced.
He's about my height. He's not even 6'4".
Yeah.
Like, it just makes me so happy to, like, it's one thing to have a kid his senior year come and you train him up, and then they send him, but to build an athlete, to take an athlete from a young age and just every single, they leave me during season and then they come back and they're just like, keep being an awesome mom and we'll come back to you.
That's awesome. Do you have any anything that you can show us, like some of the stuff that you guys do there, just like basic stuff, to show what's going on, what you guys do there? Okay.
So I have a bench and a box, easy enough, right? So we always talk about let me tilt we always talk about loading that forward leg, because with force production, when you load this leg, like I talked about earlier, let me scoot it up a little bit, I guess. So if I drive my knee back, I'm going to go forward. We need to have that force production really, really be explosive. Okay, so I like to kind of challenge them and you load the leg. Okay, it's kind of like that squat pattern, that hinge pattern, and knee over toe, just like kind of like that sprint, right? Except in this exercise, you're loading that leg, that single leg, explode. Okay, can y'all see? I can't.
Yeah, that was perfect. My question to you is, what about people with knee injuries? Do you have anything to modify for them to do that? Because that one just seems like it was a lot of load for that.
Okay, so with knee injuries, obviously I wouldn't put them on something so high impact, like box jumps. Everyone's like, oh, box jumps, blah, blah, blah. But I call them glass jumps, because I always tell an athlete, land on the box like you're landing on glass. I'm about to plan a heist, we're going to go rob a bank and we got to land on glass. So I'm going to take the best athletes. I'm going to close my eyes. And if I hear you, you're out. Like, I'm not recruiting you. And they're like, oh, we about to go in ninja school. You know.
Yeah.
So I would take like a smaller piece. Okay. And so if you can hear my steps, then I'm probably landing too loud. So I'm going to load the hip and push. Okay. Because if I throw you an egg, you're not going to catch it like that.
Right.
You're going to kind of ride it down. Well, same thing for your joints. Your knees are like the egg. Okay. Are you going to just slam it? No. You're going to load, ride it down. Okay. And that's with like anything. If I'm single leg and I hear my steps, or if I'm exploding up the track and I hear your steps, like I shouldn't hear your steps. You should be absorbing that energy and then applying it somewhere else. So I have this 6'6" athlete, and he does kind of have like, you know, he's tall. All basketball players at some point in their life, you know, kind of have those knee problems. So it's a matter of teaching him how to land, absorb that energy, you know, protect his knees, and then also like I always couple an exercise with something that's going to recruit fibers to that area. So like if I'm going to give them something like that, I'm going to put a band. So I'll grab like a viper cord, okay? And I'll put it around their knee, attach it. Okay, and then I'm here, okay? I still have to knee over toe. Force production is gonna go down and back, and I'm gonna drive, okay? And it forces me to extend the back of my knee, okay? And then this is gonna help strengthen the muscles around my knee to protect my actual joint. So I would couple it with something that's going to protect. Or one of my friends, John Bender, he played for the Indiana Pacers in the NBA. He showed me this little number where you focus on the D cell and you touch your heel to the ground. Well, you can't really. Sorry, I'm all over the place.
No worries.
But it's more for your heel, and you slowly touch your heel to the ground and explode back up. Obviously, I wouldn't. This height is too high for me.
Sure.
I would put a shorter box and just focus on putting that heel on the ground, drive it up. Put that heel on the ground, drive it up, just to protect or strengthen the muscles around my knee and still protect myself, you know.
That's awesome, Coach. Thank you for the demonstration and the breakdown of that. We're pretty much coming up to our time. You know, that went by pretty fast.
So
Yes, it did. And thank you for your time, Coach. So one of the last things I always ask my guests, you know, there might be someone down the line watching our video, either in today's live cast or in the recorded, recorded version of it. Somebody might be interested in becoming a performance coach, just like yourself. Any messages or any advice you would like to give, someone just starting out and wanting to do something like this?
My first thing I would say is knowledge is power. Learn everything you can about your trade, because that is going to make you an asset to what you are going to do. These kids, and even the college kids, everyone looks to you like you have for all the answers. And if you have a pain, they're going to ask you about it. And if you don't have an answer, or you can't find an answer, then that's going to lose your credibility with the athlete, you know? So learn everything about the body, everything about force production, about, Newton's law of gravity and 45-degree angles, you know, applying that 45-degree shin angle to my forward leg, that's what's going to propel my body forward quick as possible. So I remember being that kid like, oh, this algebra class is not going to help me in my future. Well, actually it does, because sports performance is a lot of science and math applied to your body, your routes, and your art, basically. So like I said, knowledge is power. You're going to get a book. You're going to have to learn about the body and, you know, certain things that affect the body. And it's going to feel like you're in nursing school, and you're going to be kind of upset, because that's how I felt too. Like, what the heck? Why am I learning about, you know, femurs and, you know, whatever, quads, hamstrings, and like, why do I got to know about that little muscle that barely does anything? And now that I am more wiser, I see that it was a bigger picture thing, you know. Knowledge, the more knowledge you can add to yourself to make yourself an asset, the better it's going to become, and the easier you're going to be able to be at your job, you know.
Right.
It's the most rewarding job. I can't, you know, maybe not in the South, it doesn't pay as much as it does as like some of these coaches in New Jersey. I'm just like, dang, y'all are making big, and I'm over here just like, yeah, I love what I do. Yeah. But I do have to say, like, you have to love this job. You have to love the people that you're training. And there are going to be times that test your patience. And if you're a good coach, you're going to know how to handle it. And at the end of the day, you're going to, like, oh, I honestly say, like, I love what I do. I love training these kids. I love seeing them succeed. I love seeing at the beginning of a workout, they're struggling. And then at the end of the workout, they're like crushing it. And then ask me for like a weight vest or like a resistance band or how to make it harder. Like, that just makes me feel like, ugh, I'm doing something. Yeah. And you don't love what you do, then, and you don't love working with, you know, maybe not the best athlete, then maybe you should look elsewhere. But you have to be able to help all athletes, no matter, you know, if it's a poor athlete, a rich athlete, one who doesn't have a ride home, you know, one who doesn't have food, you know, you have to help them mind, body, soul. And like, you kind of have to be, it's a full-time job, like a parent, you know, you're there for your kid 24/7, no matter what. Sometimes I have athletes call me at 2:00 in the morning, like, Coach, I just had a cramp. What do I do? I'm like, I thought you were in trouble. Yeah. Like another athlete, they got into a car accident. I was the one they called, and just to be that person, you know, thank God my husband is super, you know, loves that I love what I do, and he's super supportive. Like, you know, all my athletes, they know my husband, like, oh, Mr. Nick, you know, I wouldn't be able to be this successful at my job without his support. And he sees that I love what I do. So spending late nights, you know, helping kids and just, I don't know, it's my heart.
Yeah. I dig it. And thank you, Coach, for sharing your love, sharing your passion. You know, we can see, just like my wife has said in the chat about you, and your athletes and everybody that comes through your doors are very lucky to have you. I mean, if you were close to us, if we were out there, you guys were here, I'd send my kids to you as well. So I just want to say thank you. You're very inspiring, and thank you for your message. Thank you for sharing your journey, and thank you for taking that time with being with us tonight. Blessings to your family, and please tell your husband thank you for serving and for his service, for being in the military and stuff. So is there any other messages you would like to say to our viewers before we head out?
For all my athletes out there, school before sports, sports before friends. Get that free money, showcase yourself, and ask yourself if it doesn't, is it going to help towards your future or is it not? Because always have that future in mind, because future is everything. your legacy. Also, for my adults out there, everything that you put in your mouth, ask yourself, is this gonna help me, or is this gonna hurt me? At the end of the day, try to get more help me's than hurt me's. It's balance, right?
Exactly. Well, thanks, Coach. Thanks for your time. You be safe out there. Blessings to you, and much love and success. Thank you for your time tonight. You take care.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Well, that was our special guest tonight, Coach Mandy Fain. She came in here, via Zoom, of course, and shared about her journey. Very inspiring, and what she's doing out there in Louisiana. So, thank you guys for watching, and sticking with us tonight. I love it. I love interviewing all of these coaches, and seeing what works for them, and learning about their journey, and a lot of them, most probably all of them, have pretty much said the same thing, and they don't even know each other, right? They're saying, know your craft, get as much information as you can, get as much knowledge, get as much experience, and a lot of them, everyone basically, they love or loved what they did, and love what they do. So very cool, honored and humbled to have these guys on my show, and just to talk about your journey. So stay tuned, or tune in next week. Again, we're gonna have another guest on the show of Inside the Playbook with. So you guys stay blessed, stay safe, and until next time.